Clarkson's farm has shone a much needed spotlight on the UK farming industry. Jeremy, Caleb, Lisa and the G-Dog's passion for their animals is amazing to watch and has inspired thousands of people to think about their impact and the ways that we can make the countryside better. Caleb and his chickens even influenced myself to go and rescue some, and now we have a lovely little chicken farm at the bottom of our garden, something that is being repeated all over the country. But the two biggest stars of the show are Jeremy and Lisa's dogs, a pair of red fox Labradors called Arya and Sansa. Labradogs make great farm workers, so they've definitely chosen the right breed. But are they training them right, and are they getting the best out of them? Because I'm not so sure. I think that they're actually making some very common dog training mistakes over and over again. Let's take a look at what Jeremy and Lisa are doing wrong and right on Clarkson's farm. Now quickly first, the footage from the show is, I suspect, highly edited for comedic effect. Lord knows that they certainly do it with the G-Dog Gerald, and that's alright, that is TV production. But it does mean that we have to take whatever we see on screen with a bit of a grain of salt. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things that we can learn from watching Jeremy do what he does best, shouting. So first off, let's have a look at if Jeremy actually made the right choice by having two Labrador sisters as his farm dogs. Labs are certainly cut out for this kind of work. They are full of energy and love to get rid of it herding animals and chasing off intruders, which is essential for a dog living on a farm. They get on well with humans and animals alike, which is another great thing for farm dogs. The last thing you want is a dog with too high of a prey drive that is going to chase a sheep and bring it home for lunch. A Labrador has got the drive and the energy to go and chase that sheep, but herd it home and bring it back without having a little snack on it. Now, a small issue with labs that is going to come up on a farm and anywhere with a field is that they have a huge fondness for rolling in cow, sheep and fox poo.
Come here. You just rolled in fox shit. You're covered in it.
But it's nothing that a good groom and a wash can't sort out. If you want to see more about how awesome Labradors are, then please go and check out the breed overview on our channel. So speaking of poo, let's get into the mucky stuff, and there is no place muckier to begin than the pig pen. Now in season 3 we see Jeremy take on the challenge of owning and raising pigs, something that I would definitely do myself if we had the space or if, the world ended again. As Jeremy is inspecting his new porkers, Sansa and Arya decide that it would be a great time to jump in and have a good look and investigate for themselves. This is totally normal and to be expected from Labradors. They're athletic and they're inquisitive, so it's no surprise that they would want to go and meet their new bacon factories as soon as possible. We see them jump over the fence and go for an investigate while being completely oblivious to Jeremy's trademark move of shout at it until it's fixed. And this is where Jeremy is actually running the risk of making things worse. We can see that the dogs aren't really actually causing too much in the way of hassle around the pigs. They want to find out what they are, but most dogs know that if it came down to a fight between them and a mama pig, dogs are wimps, they would not stand a chance. Sansa and Arya are just trying to explore this new environment and see what's going on, but by shouting at your dog you're actually raising their tensions and their stress levels, and you could turn a relatively calm experience into a disastrous one if you're not careful. They feed off our energy, so if all of a sudden the boss starts shouting and yelling and raising the tension, they're going to think that there's something that they need to be worked up about. So it's important for us to keep our heads and keep calm as much as possible, even when we think that our dog is doing something that we'd rather they didn't. So how can Jezza prevent this and stop the dogs leaping over whatever's in their way to get at whatever they want? Well, it comes down to boundary training. Some people will tell you that fence won't stop a dog, mate, and I've certainly heard that from workmen when they've come round and seen the barriers that we used to use to train our little Staffie Freddie. But what a lot of people miss is that it's entirely possible to stop a dog dead in its tracks using nothing more than a piece of yellow tape. We've got a full explainer for this up on our channel, but the basic principle is that if we set a boundary for our dog and every time they go close to it we guide them away or give them a just to let them know that's not acceptable, they will soon learn where they can and can't go. We've probably all seen videos of cats guarding a hallway somewhere. The cat sat there hunkered down and the dog is just too scared to go past it because it knows that if it tries to go past the cat's going to go Row! And leap out and scratch it, and dogs are wimps, so they don't want the pain. And that is where they're starting to learn, that's a boundary there that I can't go past. We can tap into this same kind of thing, but try and do it a lot nicer than a cat would. Now, all Jeremy would need to do is make sure that the first few times he went to go and visit the pigs with the dogs that he kept them both on a lead. Any time that they show any interest in kind of leaping to get over it, give them a and walk them away from the fence. Any time that they start trying to push their noses through it as well, give them a and just walk them away. Anything that you don't want around that boundary becomes unacceptable and gets them removed from it. They will quickly work out that if I just kind of stand here and have a bit of a smell and have a look what's going on, I don't get told off, so maybe I'll just stand there a bit more rather than trying to jump up, because every time I try and jump I get a correction. We know that Sansa and Arya do actually have some impulse control. They can resist things, they just need to be taught when and where to behave themselves and when it's absolutely fine to go off and get into trouble. The other big issue that I see time and time again with not just Jeremy but with so many dog owners is repeating the same command over and over again with no meaning and no consequence to it.
Go on your bed. On your bed. Or sit. One of the two. Sit.
No.
You see, I haven't even got time to train the dog.
See, not even the dog wants to listen.
Not even the dog. But it is, I mean...
We see Jezza and Lisa set them up to fail by constantly repeating commands like get in the car and heel and using recalls when the dogs aren't paying attention.
Sans, I'm not picking you up, you're too big now. You can smile all you like, I'm still not picking you up.
People seem to think that by repeating a command over and over again that a dog will eventually get the idea and do what you want them to do, but what you're actually doing is teaching them the exact opposite. When we repeat the same thing at them over and over, the dog isn't trying to understand what you mean. They're learning that words have no meaning. If you ask a dog to sit and then it wanders off, the chances of it sitting next time are greatly reduced. If you tell a dog to heel and then it just lays down and ignores you, shouting heel, heel, heel over and over again doesn't help them. It just tells them that your words have no meaning and that they can decide what they want to do and when. If they don't know the word, then they won't learn it just by having it shouted at them over and over again. You need to control the situation and teach them what it means first. Now let's just rewind a little and have a look at some of those specific problems that Jeremy and Lisa have got. Dogs not wanting to jump up into the back of a car is a very common one. We know that it's for their safety, but they would so much rather be sat in the front on your lap or using the gear stick as a chew toy. But there are definitely things that we can do to start to break any negative associations that they might have while getting into a car. We need to teach them that nothing means anything. Just because we're walking towards the car doesn't mean that we're going to get in it. Just because I've asked you to jump up into the car doesn't mean that I'm going to shut the boot and turn the engine on and drive off every time. Try walking your dog by the open boot several times before you ask them to get in. Let them dissipate a little bit of that nervous energy first and see that not every time I go over there do I have to do that. Then by asking them to jump up into the car and get out of it again without going anywhere, it just shows them that it doesn't always have to be the same experience and can start to break any fears that they might have. But please do not make the mistake of picking them up. If you pick a dog up and put it into the car, you are picking that dog up and putting it into the car for the rest of its life. It knows that if it just kind of sits and waits here for a little bit now, eventually you'll get bored and give them the princess ride that they so obviously think that they deserve, and they will never get in on their own again. Now, another good way to help them with this is to practice your get in or get up command in a variety of different places. If they only ever hear "up you get" when you're getting into the boot of a car, they might start to associate those words with negative feelings. So if you can start to practice that in other places, park benches are a great place for this. We often do some training with Freddie where we'll say "up you get" onto a park bench, just as I do when I'm getting him into the back of the car. Because when he jumps up on a park bench and he hears "up you get," he gets a little bit of a stroke and a treat every time. So he's starting to associate that these words don't always mean bad things. They might even start to pick up on the fact that when they hear those words and they do what you've asked, that makes you happy, and dogs want nothing more than to make us happy. Now, the recall around deer and other wildlife is a little bit more difficult to work on, but it is definitely not impossible.
Benton! Oh, Jesus Christ! Benton! Oh, Jesus Christ! Benton!
First up, the obvious. Stop shouting over and over when they're off chasing something. Their ears are turned off in that scenario. They are not listening to you. The thrill of the chase, the thrill of the hunt has taken over them, and they are far too busy using all their other senses to keep track of the animal, rather than paying attention to that vague noise in the distance that probably means that they have to stop having fun. If you use your recall word a lot with little to no success, like we see Jeremy and Lisa doing, then it is time to pick a new word and to reset these commands. Come or here might have lost all meaning to your dog. Remember what we said earlier about repeating things only making it worse? Well, that is the last thing that you want to happen when it comes to recall training. So pick a new word and practice their recall in a small area first, where you can make sure that you get 100% success rate. Once they've kind of got the idea of what the new word means, then increase the 3Ds, distance, duration and distraction. There's some footage of me and my sister-in-law here doing it with a very small puppy using this exact same method. But only use that new recall word if you know that you'll succeed. If you've only just started training a new word and you take them on an off-lead walk, you must not use that new word if they feel the draw of the hunted again. You'll start to devalue that one, and you'll soon need to keep a dictionary handy to cross them all off. Only use the new word when they're paying attention and will come back, or you've got them on a long lead and you can kind of guide them back in to make sure that they get it right every time. There will come a time when your new word will need to be tested in the heat of battle, but it will only work if you've put the effort in beforehand. The first time that I had to use Freddie's recall word out in the wild, he was barreling off down a path towards a dog on a lead with an owner that looked quite nervous and really didn't want 30 kilograms of Staffie jumping towards her like that. But I gave him a really good shout, used the whistle that we'd been pairing the recall training with as well, and I was so proud of him because he did a great big loop like this and came tearing back to me as fast as he could. Nowadays we combine it with a great big arm signal as well, so that we can communicate with him in a variety of ways over long distances and be really clear over what it is that we're asking from him. So shouting and whistles can take care of sound, waving your arms takes care of visuals, and it seems like Jeremy and Lisa have actually decided to tap into another sense as well by introducing a vibrating collar, which hits another sense of touch. We'll be doing a video soon on why most of these things aren't actually much use for normal people with normal dogs, and in my opinion actually are quite dangerous. They're not quite as bad as, say, a prong collar, but they aren't too far away. But when used correctly in the right circumstances, they do actually have a bit of a place in training. Two mad labs chasing a deer is almost the textbook correct circumstances to use one. If their ears are turned off and they aren't looking at you, being able to tap them on the shoulder remotely is something that they can't ignore as easily. Now you do have to train these taps to them first so that they know what it means. You have to pair the taps with your recall words when you're in a situation where you can control it, so you can show them what the taps mean. If you send them off out into a field and start tapping them on the shoulder with a vibration collar, you're never going to get much training done. So please don't be one of those people that I see in Amazon reviews saying, I bought this for my dog, put it on it and it still doesn't come back. Well, yeah, you didn't train your dog as to what this means. You really should try and teach your dog rather than just outsourcing it to a gadget. So if you do ever decide to get one, make sure to do some research before it gets anywhere near your dog's neck. And whatever you do, please don't buy them from Temu. Now, in an effort to get them trained even more, Lisa has let it be known on her social media that both of the dogs have been sent off to a doggy boarding school to learn some commands and get them trained.
Sit! You didn't really get the second half of boarding school, did you? Come on, Ari. Arya, heel. No?
Now, this is another case where I think that they're actually trying to outsource something that they should be doing themselves, because you can, again, create even more problems with these good intentions. Yeah, the dogs get trained when they go away and they learn to obey their teachers. But when they come home, it's almost like nothing's changed and that was a huge waste of money and time. This is because it's not just the dogs that need training, it's us too, the owners. We need training just as much as they do. A change in energy can be a great way to train a dog to do something that it's not done before, but if it then comes home to the energy that it was used to before that, it can go, well, maybe I need to behave myself over there, but when I'm here, this is the old rules and not much has changed in my owners, so why would I do these new tricks? I don't respect you as much as I do the other people because they ensured that the rules were followed all the time. So I really hope that the boarding school included just a little bit of training for Jeremy and Lisa in there as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how Sansa and Arya get up to more mischief in the upcoming seasons. Them and the whole diddly squat crew have certainly changed the way that we view farmers in this country and are certainly responsible for me getting into Farming Simulator just like Caleb. We'd love to hear about your experiences with your dogs around farms in the comments. Let us know if you think they've got what it takes to round up a herd of cattle. Thank you so much for making it this far into the video. It does really mean a lot to the small channels like us. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, look after yourself, but more importantly, look after your dog.